I haven't went live through StreamYard in a little. I hate this man radio. I hate this man radio. I hate this man radio.
There, that will never happen. That will never happen again. Bernie Sanders.
Oh, this is a lot better.
Yeah, they take it back from you. They give you a very nice sentence. But I think it,
Yeah, hey Kia, how you doing?
got two. Vice President Harris. Listen to
Oh, the audio's better now.
Good evening. If I was smart, I'd go home now.
Well, take your ass on then, motherfucker.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation. And he said, I address you the moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Still was on the march. War was raging in Europe.
Let's go, Brandon. Fuck Joe Biden.
Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today.
You're the one who's confident, Joe Biden.
Freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond.
You allowed it.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
Who gives a fuck? He ain't coming over here, so why should I give a fuck about Europe? America first, baby.
Stand with Ukraine and provide
Give Ukraine all that shit. Well, we don't have nothing.
That's all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers.
Not yet.
In fact, there are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way.
We know about that.
Assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Now,
I see how long Hunter Biden's cocaine lasting, Joe Biden.
former Republican president tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want. Calming down the Russian leader. I think it's outrageous.
You're taking that out of context. He said if they don't pay, and they need to pay. When he said that shit, I bet they started paying then. Fuck out of here, Brandon.
The military alliance of democratic nations fighting after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. Today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. Welcome Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their ministers here tonight. Now stand up. Welcome.
Fuck NATO. Hit that like button.
Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. The United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be a risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th.
Oh my God. Lord of January 6th nonsense.
We all saw with our own eyes. The insurrections were not.
If there was a real insurrection, they would have had arms and all kind of stuff.
Overstarting the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a great.
Damn right, the 2020 election was stolen. Fuck you, mean.
But they failed.
Fuck you, mean. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. Oh, God.
I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lie.
Truth is, you cheated to win. You and the Uniparty, Joe Biden.
God has told you without regard to party to join together to defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending us all against foreign and domestic.
You are the threat, Joe Biden.
Restore trust in our institutions. And make
You're undermining them.
Absolutely no place in America, zero place. It's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching.
How terrible of a president you are, Brandon.
Social worker in Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state. Unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer.
You want to have abortion, you need to allow men to have financial abortion. If the woman don't want the kid, the man don't should be able to not have to take care of the kid either. If she don't want to take care of it, he shouldn't be allowed not to take care of it as well.
I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom.
The borders are, we ain't did shit for the border yet.
My predecessor came up with the term to see Roe v. Wade overturned. These reasons overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She became pregnant again and had a fetus in a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have kids in the future were if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well. but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following. And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Excuse me, electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you realize.
Repeal the 19th Amendment. I agree with just Fairly Days. Repeal the 19th Amendment.
They had no clue about the power of women, but they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we won again in 2024.
Amen.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I will restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe the way forward, because I know how far we've come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses, remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus.
Caused by Democrats. Here in China.
The mental health crisis, the isolation and loneliness. The president, our predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
No thanks to you.
So let's turn the story here. Told here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. Investing in all America and all Americans to make every sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccine that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback.
You're trying to force that on everybody. What happened to my body, my choice?
The economy's on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record.
Out of context. Most people left the labor force. Inflation is high. Everybody broke.
Historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans. 800,000.
Yeah, we wasn't black if we didn't vote for you, Joe Biden, so fuck you.
We can't be the manufacturing capital of the world. We are. We will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is the smallest it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world, and 10-year low.
Lie.
The landing is really soft. And now instead of importing foreign products and exploiting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy America. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
You can't believe the whole COVID thing happened, lockdowns, etc., and the whole world just goes on like it never happened. People just accept it. Hey, Kevin, it's been fucked up, but we have to never forget the stuff that Democrats and rhinos put us through. Bow down to China. We know that shit came from China because we was kicking their ass. Now on the seas of planet, World War III is literally imminent. Moving on from COVID to moving on to World War III.
$100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
It's scary times.
My policy has attracted $650 billion in private sector investment. In clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. Thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. By the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money committee. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing points.
I need to do it for that damn Indiana. God damn, every time you go up there, the highways running ragged as fuck up there.
America, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in the family farm, because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know. We're better able to stay in the family for those farms so that their children or grandchildren will have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. Great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois. Home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, and new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars. There's the same.
Yeah, Kevin. You did right. You roll with the hand you dealt. And you became successful doing it. So that's what's up. Kudos to you for doing that, bro.
The community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching all those jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
Yes, sir.
The UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn And Dawn Sim, the third generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Sean, I was proud to be the first president standing on the picket line. And today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the
middle class, Joe Biden.
I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. It's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
I gotta go to Ohio, but I just left out from the house, but I told her I was really ready until like 6 p.m. But they wanted me to rush up here to pick up this load, but the place closed, so I won't pick it up till tomorrow.
I want to talk about the future.
But I gotta go to Ohio.
A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over. And the wealthy, the biggest corporations no longer get to allow the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations and business than every one of your states in the state of the United States combined. And I represented for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation. But I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
Joe Biden.
Make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it. For the law that I propose and sign, not one of the Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American in Indonesia. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done. We gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices of prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by
The VA and the medicine. Right before this, I was organizing my medicine bags from the VA.
Will no longer have to pay those absorbing the prices of Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market. That treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. We're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable. Not only save lives and save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $200 to $2,000 a year. Even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but anyone to get Air Force One will fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, excuse me, and well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very good deal. Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. For my predecessor, many in this chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before I will stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. We enacted tax credits of $600 per person per year, reduce healthcare costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population. The research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we launched the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job, especially
Why the hell she ain't treating you? God damn. Your doctor should give you treat
for
her.
$12 million to transfer women's health research to benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. Inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well. And the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federal financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide.
Nobody can get into.
Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rates down.
Everybody gonna be on Section 8. On the couch. Project. What's going on, West Coast Saturday? What's going on, bro?
We need to have the best education system in the world.
Nobody, you got our education worrying about
Every child.
rainbow people. Damn right, red pill all day. Take the red pill all day.
I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes, there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often. Start school, kindergarten, first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken.
That's why you didn't want a certain race in your schools with your kids because of a race thing.
2 and 4 grade, no matter what their background is.
He on the teleprompter and they gave him some cocaine, so he'll be all right for right now. They probably had him sleep all day as well.
Why I wanted to spend money on education. pointed out to them as vice president. I met with over eight, I think it was 182. Those folks, don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. Let's say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce.
Hey, I'm about to be hooked up my CPAP in a little while. As soon as I organize the damn truck. Yeah, they got to make sure he get a good nap.
I think you're right. I want to stay in high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience from the path to a good paying job, whether or not they go to college. But I want to make sure that college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions.
I hope it does. We gotta get all the secret out of these motherfuckers. Still a little bit too many people still on that blue pill sip shit for my liking.
Reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million.
But based on what I see in the shade room, people starting to finally come around and get off that Democrat plantation.
Keaton Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, was here with us tonight. Keaton, where are you? Keaton, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help after debt forgiveness get his own daughter to college. And folks, look, social media is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want the public school teachers a raise. And by the way, the first couple of years we cut the deficit. Now let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I have been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed a bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. You want to make it to make a million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes.
You and Hunter Biden there? Well, although I don't really care. Nobody should be paying taxes. Fuck taxes. Fuck the IRS.
Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy, the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit.
Right.
They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax cut that I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero.
Both of those were liberal companies, Gilbert.
That's the law I wrote we signed. Big companies have to pay minimum 15%. But that's still less than working people paying federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
That's why I should get rid of income tax. Nobody should be paying tax.
Minimum tax for billionaires at 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family members. Imagine the future of home care and elder care. And people living with disabilities that are staying in their homes, and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for Steve.
Because they're gullible, Kevin. Gullible and ignorant.
Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more in the Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look. Too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why it's cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice. If they change the size of the bag, they put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it. You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. So some fees, at the end of the bill, they're there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more a hell lot like $8 and 30 some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. And I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm folks at home. That's why the banks are so mad, is $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? The conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges, help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill will save lives. And we want to reward it. It will also give me and the new president the emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce isn't here yet. You're saying, "Whoa, look at the facts." I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress and the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
Due to your policy.
That's right. But how many thousands of people being killed by illegals?
What?
My heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 months, 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way knowing that they'll be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends over to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now. And my trade sisters watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me, telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what he apparently here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poisoning the blood of our country.
We know immigrants are. If you break a law, you go to jail, you're separated from your family. What do you mean?
Bill to fix our immigration system, take a look at it as all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. And so much more.
Damn right, Willie. Trump, MAGA, baby, MAGA. Yes, sir.
Home to Native Americans and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams. That's America. And we all come from somewhere. So we're all Americans. We have a simple choice. We can fight while fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now.
You don't need a bill. There are executive orders you can pass, you dumbass.
The transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten. They were bloody and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. He missed it. Joining us tonight, our other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae White, known as the voice of Selma. The daughter of gospel singers and preachers, she sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, 59 years later, where forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis is a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes that march with him, then it's time to do more than talk. It's time to thing in the Vote Act. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It's stop denying another core value of America. Our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And our message of change in the Americans, I have your back. Pass the program, the workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage. Because every worker has a right to a decent living wage at $7
Joe Biden, you still wrong. People who don't know what gender they are. You.
Oh. I don't think any of you think there's no longer climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030. creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
All this electric vehicle nonsense.
Concerning 30% of Americans land in water by 2030. Taking action on environmental justice, fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. Pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. The year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. Just it was dead. I know through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against on that day, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. Let's help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on guns.
You need the people who want to defund the police. What you mean?
Keep building trust in what we're doing by taking executive action on police reform.
Well, you take executive action on that, but you want to take executive action on the border?
To review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or having on their record.
Well, you have right to build that jail to me in the first place. In 94. And what, 87 too, I think.
I'm ramping up the Federal Enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I planned to build when I was a senator. So we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
More men are victims of domestic violence than women, Joe Biden.
What are the kinds of violence I want to stop?
Oxyman, what up, sir? Biden 2024. Yeah, Biden for the retirement home 2024.
21 classmates and teachers.
He the last motherfucker we need leading us because we're on the brink of World War III.
We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message. So everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, you know, it's there for hours, meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, with the Vice President leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. Where's his school? Just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Oh, I'm proud to say South Carolina, we just voted for the constitutional carry approved. So I'm happy for my state.
We now must be here again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and
There's no such thing as an assault rifle. Universal background checks is a measure of rounding up your guns.
None of this violates the Second Amendment.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Well, as the various challenges hold, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America.
Fuck
on October 7th with the massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200
Israel was there first.
girls and boys slaughtered.
The Jews were there first. Now, I have my issues with them, especially the ones in Hollywood. They promoting all this liberal rainbow nonsense, but the ones in Israel, they were there first. Fuck Hamas, Palestine, and all of them.
They place all of the families that will not rest until we bring everybody your loved ones home. We also want around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to march Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those
In case
responsible.
I have to use my ticker, I'm going to have to turn the camera off. So
Israel
the flag,
added third, because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards.
my tip occur, so I could drop Joe Biden off in the
Hamas
toilet.
has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war is taking a great toll on innocent civilians in all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are now Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocent women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighbors in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that will last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and have a humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States have been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza. They can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
That's Mission Creek. That's how Vietnam started.
Israel must allow more aid in the Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to
Fuck the Gaza Strip. Israel need to strip that motherfucker up.
leadership. Israel said this. Humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you. I'm the only American president to visit Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees that Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. There's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Fucking
Saudi Arabia.
That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries defending international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise.
It is because we fucking,
America's falling behind.
because you, Joe Biden.
They got it backwards. Been saying it for over 4 years, even though I wasn't president. America's rising. We're the best economy in the world. And since I've come home, as our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. We've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technology can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China.
He was so tough on, Trump was so tough on China that China sent that virus over here. Fuck out of here. We was kicking China ass.
Any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Striking penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril. Ban AI voice impersonations and more. Keep our truly sacred obligation. Train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't.
Look up this rice, collard green, turkey wing,
The song support and help.
chicken, and neck bones.
I signed the pact. One of the most significant laws ever. Helping millions of veterans go to Thompson.
I'm fighting an increase on my disability for that fact that y'all gotta pay, y'all gotta give me a percentage for my damn irritable bowel syndrome. I had to get this toilet cousin.
Our new health research agency
So back pay me up to when that fact ain't got signed. And also, y'all gotta approve me for disability for my sinusitis too. That came from tax. That came from the stuff that was approved in the fact that. So run me my money, VA. Run me my damn money.
Let me close with this.
Yeah. Camp Lejeune ain't the only place that had bad water. All these bases and forts and shit, camps and all of that had bad water. You know, they exposed toxins.
I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past, those who want to move America to the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. And other people might see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's on me. I was born mid-World War II when America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Claremont, Delaware, among working-class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Cutting, were assassinated. And the legacy that inspired me to pursue a career of service.
Here you go, that cocaine starting to wear down. That cocaine starting to wear down. Hurry up and get us some ice cream.
Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then Vice President, or first Black president. now present to the first women president.
Of the pandering.
In my career, I've been told I was too young. I've ready to look out and send elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. I've been told I'm too old.
You are.
Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal. Deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy. My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are, it's how old our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas, only take us back. You need America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, we don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis in our country.
Still kind of cold.
I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are.
Let's build a wall.
The United States of America. And there's nothing we have no capacity that we have together. God bless you all. And may God protect our troops. Thank you.
President Joe Biden delivering a State of the Union address lasting just about an hour and 8 minutes. It started off a little differently. Protocol says the Speaker of the House introduces the President with the words, "It's my high honor and privilege to introduce the President of the United States." Speaker Johnson was ready, but President Biden dove right in to that speech straight away. He started with freedom and democracy under assault. He pointed to Russia on the march in Ukraine, calling for funding and weapons for Ukraine right off the bat. He called out his predecessor, former President Trump, for, quote, bowing down to a Russian leader. From there, President Biden went to the January 6th Capitol riot, calling it the gravest threat to our republic since the Civil War, and he said that threat remains. That was the first 12 paragraphs of his speech. In what many political watchers are calling one of the most, if not the most, partisan, kind of rancorous State of the Union address they can remember. It took about 40 minutes to get to the issue of immigration and really the exchange he wanted. The Democrats wanted energy tonight. They wanted fight. It was delivered in a fast, forceful, sometimes yelling way. At the end, reaching the dismount that he said the idea of America is why he's optimistic about the future.
Yeah, he got in some comments there about his age, basically leaning on the wisdom that it has brought him. I think you're going to hear a lot of different takes on the delivery of this speech. As you mentioned, Brett, there were yelling moments, shouting moments, angry moments. He was cantankerous at times.
See what CNN lied about.
Talked a lot about his predecessor.
Housing costs. He talked about the need
we're not really referring to him as former President Trump, but his predecessor. But when he talked about immigration, which is the #1 issue on the minds of Americans right now in many states across the country, he said, I came into office with a comprehensive bill to fix it. But at the same time, he overturned everything that was actually working in terms of the numbers by the prior administration. And he says, in November, we came forward with this idea legislatively to fix all this. Well, that's 3 years in to his administration. He talked about the fentanyl problem, all of these issues, but really have not been addressed in force until very recently when they started showing up in polling as being very positive. It's interesting. I think that he didn't mention any executive orders that he could do on that issue with regard to remain in Mexico or catch and release, but he did say that he would use executive orders in a couple of other aspects. No talk about taking on the cartel. Oh, against police reform. That's where he said he would use executive orders when it came to police reform. Did mention Laken Riley, exchange back and forth with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was wearing a T-shirt that said "Say Her Name." Did mention her name, sent condolences to the family. And then on Hamas and Israel, which we can get into here, basically he said he supports Israel's right to fight, but that it's time for a 6-week ceasefire. He mentioned bringing home Evan and Paul, and Bruce's family is in the house tonight, his mom and dad. Didn't say where they were being held, didn't say they're being held by Putin or Russia. So with that issue, obviously they've heated up a lot. Minnesota, Michigan, places where he's lost votes to uncommitted. There was a big message for those places in terms of the way that he was addressing the Palestinian issue.
Let's listen to some of this conversation.
You are fired. China, what's that coming? What's going on?
A couple of the congressmen saying you were on fire tonight. So when somebody said fire in the hole, he was forceful. Let's bring in Fox News chief political analyst, Rick Hume. Rick, your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was a good chance he would make a smoothly delivered, mistake-free, no blunders, no stumbling speech tonight. It was the theme of it, of course, was that the country's on a great comeback. For a speech about a comeback, he didn't seem very happy about it, did he? He seemed angry. There was plenty of stumbling and slurring of words and all the rest of it that we've come to associate with him and taken as a sign of his senility and his advancing age and the effect that it has on a person. So I don't think he got on to that at all. And I'm not sure that a person sitting at home tonight looking at the guy would think he was anything other than an angry old man. And if you're a partisan Democrat and you love all the programmatic stuff he talks about, that's fine. I guess if Democrats are worried
He
about
was
him,
seeing
they're
his spin.
showing some energy. But I'm not sure it's the kind of energy that's public.
The thing about Joe Biden, he is weak, and he is weak in America, and he doesn't have the vitality, the alacrity, the vigor to be the president of the United States. He came out hitting on Ukraine, stand up for Russia, be strong, Republicans, still be weak. Right after weakness argument that he's weak in America, that he's personally weak, and went right after January 6th, said, I'm going to bury the lies. And took the heckling for it, and then turned to an issue that Democrats think is absolutely critical for them, IVF, reproductive freedom, the broader issue. And he did it all with fight. He did it with punches. He came out punching, he came out swinging right from the beginning. Then he did the traditional State of the Union laundry list, and then he came back at the end and took on the age issue. Does it work? Who knows? Did he try a little humor? He took the back and forth from the floor. It was clear to me that they understand what the Republicans have done and are going to try to do to him by saying he's personally not up to it, he's not strong, and he's weak in America. They came out to fight.
Well, I think one of his weakest issues that he pulls on is immigration and the border. Obviously, he knows that it came up later in the speech, but Senator James Lankford might have delivered him one of the strongest moments of the entire speech, where they were talking about that bipartisan border deal. He went into the specifics of what was in that agreement being formed by one of the most conservative senators in the Senate, and he was negotiating that. And Senator Lankford's mouth, that's true, as President Biden was speaking. And then the other moment,
Details of what was in the bill.
talking about the details of what was in the bill. And the other moment where in the beginning we watched Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene hand President Biden that button that they had made. that talks about his border crisis, as you quoted what it said on the button earlier, Jake. And she said, asked him to say Laken Riley's name, and then he held the button up. He seemed to be relishing those moments that he had last year, the back and forth with Republicans, and was trying to recreate that and kind of take it head on.
Relishing and prepared for it, right? I mean, there were some that were clearly.
And doing the spin.
I mean, you could see how it was playing out as they were personally Camp David, and they're like, John, to your point about it being a political speech, there's no doubt about it. It was a re-election speech, wrapped in a State of the Union. But I found it was also a speech just reflective of our times. Nothing is as it once was in American politics. And I think this speech, the demeanor from the folks in the House, the president going into raw politics, him calling out his predecessor all these times. Yes, that's unprecedented. It's also unprecedented to be running against a guy who once served as president, who you defeated, who's trying to come back. So it's also unprecedented, that he's facing all these trials and what occurred in this very chamber on January 6th. I just think
January 6th, shut up.
It's not. That's just not where our politics are anymore. And so while I know the Republicans will criticize him for being political here, it seems to me he actually gave a speech that is of this moment.
I agree 100%.
To what?
But it's often Joe Biden in the past who has tried to go back to those moments. I remember those moments. Mitch McConnell's my friend. We can do bipartisanship deals. Joe Biden tonight realizes we don't live in that world anymore. In the past, he's tried to go back to that world. He's realized that world doesn't exist. Yeah, I think what's really interesting, Jimmy and Joe, is what David touched on the preparedness. He wanted and was prepared for the Laken Riley moment. Again, Laken Riley, the UGA student trying to be murdered by a Venezuelan undocumented immigrant who should not have been in this country and should not have been free. He obviously had been told they're going to bring this up. This wasn't news, by the way. Like we all learned a few hours ago that Martin Taylor Greene was going to have his pens, and also obviously this has been a horrible story in the news and one that a lot of people have been talking about, including Republicans. And he not only did he say her name, he mentioned that he had lost children too. He lost his daughter when he was in his 30s, and he lost his son.
Yeah, what did you about it,
a few years ago. Talked about their misery. Repeated something Martin Taylor Greene said about killed by an illegal, although he's already getting some blowback from immigration advocates about using the term illegal to talk about what it is. And then he talked about how the compromise on the border would have disincentivized people crossing illegally, because instead of staying around for 5 or 6 years until they're curing, it would be 6 weeks, and so it would stop the incentivization of crossing the border. Talked to them immediately about it, and then said, do you want to debate the border or do you want to fix the border?
I think this is a critical point because, Jake, you're absolutely right. There's no question they prepared for those moments in the White House. There is also no question that Congress, the Senate, this is Joe Biden's home, and he likes to spar in moments like this. We have seen that is classic Joe Biden. Yes, he was prepared on specific topics, but from the very beginning, where he said, "Sonny, if I was smart, I would go home now," and everyone laughed, to the end where he said, "I'm almost wrapping up." That's what we see with Joe Biden. I want to point to a couple of things. I heard from a Democratic source who, like we've been told, many in the White House was worried about how Joe Biden would do today. And the source said he under-promised and over-delivered. The two things that we never like to talk about, high energy and his age. He addressed his age. He came across with high energy. All the Republicans, I have a phone full of Republicans saying that was a campaign speech, but even they admit that he delivered.
Let me just say, I misspoke. I said something about Laken Riley. She was found on the University of Georgia campus. She is a nursing student, but she's not a University of Georgia student per se, and I apologize for getting that, for confusing that detail. Anderson?
Jake, thanks very much for the team here in New York. Ben Jones, your watch.
Ben Jones got the crop.
Very proud. Very proud. Look, strong at the beginning.
Strong on Ukraine, strong about January 7th, January 2nd. Strong in the middle,
He was willing. He put his chest out to those Republicans. He ain't scared of Republicans. He said, "Hey, let's fight right now about the border. Let's fight right now about these tax cuts for gazillionaires." Strong at the end, owning his age issue. I thought that was a remarkable, fiery, powerful, vigorous guy, and I think it gives people a lot of confidence that this guy might be able to go this. And by the way, he's still standing there talking to people. He came in slow. He talked to everybody. He was strong at the beginning, strong in the middle, strong at the end. Actually, what do you think? So, before the speech, a lot of folks on this panel were saying that there are two missions, not only about his agenda and what his second term would look like, but perhaps even more importantly, is he all there? Is the figures?
Yeah, I mean, we said it was also about performance, right? And I think tonight he showed that he can give a very long speech. And if you come for me, don't come for me unless I send for you. It's one of those moments.
And thousands of people being killed by illegals. To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Okay, Jenny, your thoughts on
All right. So one, he was prepared for that moment. He knew it was coming, right? He got the name a little bit wrong. The line that I thought was a little bit strange is when he said, "But how many people are being killed by illegals?" By legals. And I again, that part wasn't on prompter, but there was a couple of times that the Republicans took the bait on a couple of things. One was on Trump tax cuts. So I was talking about tax cuts, like, I thought you wanted those tax cuts, right? I thought that was a little bit skillful. That was like one of the moments where I can say, oh, that was pretty good. And also on immigration. But I do think that this was a polarizing, divisive speech, and it was meant to be. I started the night by saying, I'm going to watch to see if they think that the problem that they have within the Democratic Party is a minor annoyance or a major crisis. I think because this was very much a base speech for the far left, all the way like the Bernie Sanders, fair share, wealthy paying taxes, things like that. I think this isn't everyone to their corners type of night, right? I mean, Katie Bright might be more unifying than President Biden was, but he probably needed what he needed to do for the Democrats to not replace him at the convention.
By the way, the contrast is going to be big. The oldest president we've ever had to the youngest female senator we've ever had. She'll be speaking in Alabama from a kitchen table. John, your thoughts?
I think that Dana is one of the most brilliant people I know, particularly when it comes to political observation. And it was yelly, it was rancorous, it probably turned a lot of people off if they're right-leaning independents or Republicans. But I'm just going to predict that when the reviews come in on this, places like the New York Times and the Washington Post and the National Review and MSNBC and other left-leaning outlets, they're going to say that this was the most brilliant State of the Union that he's ever given. Because he needed a political resurrection tonight. He went into this with the lowest approval rating of his presidency in the Fox News poll. He was underwater on every major issue. And underwater far enough that he needed to be at least breathing nitrox if not he lost in order to get off. He was that far underwater. Lower approval rating than Trump, Obama, and Bush 43 had at this time in their term. And 72%, as Martha pointed out earlier, people saying that they're dissatisfied with the direction of this country. So I think from that standpoint, with the Democratic Party, you probably are
Internet foreign policy to talk to the American public the whole time. There's three big issues that he had to answer: his age, the border, and the economy. I think he only did one on the economy. I think when it came